Hello there. How are you? This is Louisa. This is Louisa Munson, one half of the Munsons from The Moment. I'm joined again by Tasha Salinas. She was just on our show, episode 72, where we were talking about New Thought spirituality and the enormity of, I guess, the responsibility of knowing that our thoughts and our feelings are really what's determining our life. And so she's coming back and we're doing a little private conversation between us to talk about how to make this a bit more practical. How can we apply this? Let's bring her on now. Hey, Tasha, thank you so much for joining me again.
Of course. Thank you.
So you really got things going in part one of this episode on 72. I mean, that was a live one, and there were so many comments coming in from people saying, "Oh my God, I really feel this," and people really sort of sharing this kind of wave of appreciation for all this this thought technology. But one thing that I think really becomes obvious is like how like we know the theory of it, but how can we make it work for us? So I just wanted to start from that perspective.
Yeah, I love it.
Loads to share.
Yeah, I take a deep breath because it is so much. It's a lot. It's a lot, and understanding that humans are here for a reason more than just simply to live and die, like just to get to live and die. And so through our conscious evolution, through the way that we grow and come into knowing who we actually are, sometimes we can get a little like blown out in our brain when we understand the responsibility that we get to have. And so it's big. And so I talk a lot about embodiment, like pulling it down into the body. What is that? And so that's kind of what I'm feeling right now needs to come on the heels of that conversation, is making it practical. Okay, that's cute. New thought, spirituality. Well, what does that mean for me today? What does that mean for me right now? And so that's kind of where I feel like I want to go with it. How does that hit you?
That just is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Because I mean, that's what I'm always thinking, I love all these videos that Carl was talking about in 72, like episode 72, there's this wealth of information, but not very much about how you apply it, how you make it work. So like, run me through it.
Right. Okay. So to recap, if you didn't catch that episode, catch the episode, because for me, like that lights us up and we're inspired, and then we charge the gates of hell. Where are we going? So what it is what we're talking about is new thought spirituality, understanding that your thoughts help to create your reality. Your thoughts create your reality, and you experience your reality through your experience, through your emotions, through the sensations, through everything of the experience of living. So we have our thinking and we have our being, right? Our being is our essence of every day. So we bring those into alignment, get our thinking in alignment with how we feel, get our feelings in alignment with our thoughts, bring those together. Don't bypass our emotions, and don't gaslight ourselves by trying to force ourselves to believe something that doesn't just feel resonant in our hearts.
We just need to get into alignment. It occurred to me, well, how do we know we're in alignment? That's a huge question for somebody who is new to this. And I realize that maybe I haven't been in alignment, so I want to know myself. How do you recommend we do that?
And this honestly can be the hardest part.
Right.
Alignment simply means stopping the thinking altogether. Just stop the thought process and sit with yourself and get into your heart. And if that needs to be meditative, that's fine. But just to, like, sit with, what do you want? What's a desire in your heart? Not the grandiose thing, but what is the desire? I would really like to have a close parking spot. I'm running a little bit late, and I like the freedom to be able to walk in on time. Well, that requires believing and knowing and choosing that every time I pull up, there's always a close parking spot for me.
Wow.
Okay. You want a close-up parking spot. That's the desire of your heart. If you're like, well, I hope there's spots. You're hoping, and you're giving away your power. God, there's so much traffic, I'm never going to get a spot. You've created a misalignment. You want a close-up parking spot, but you're convinced that you never get it. So what's going to triumph? The power of the tool. Yeah. Right. And so sometimes we also manifest our fears. And I know we can go down the rabbit hole. That's a soul journey. And I could talk forever about that. But how do we get into alignment? You understand, first of all, what do you want? I want inner peace. Okay, well, then any thought that challenges your sense of inner peace might need to be released.
Oh,
To the
wow.
point that even if, because I'm going to go ahead and answer the question that the
Go
fear
on.
is asking you right now, death, right? Even to the point of death. Do you want to die afraid? If you still believe that you're going to die, great. That's wonderful. Congratulations on you choosing the belief that you're going to die.
Mm.
So if you're faced with something that you feel like is leading to your demise, do you want to fear it and fear your way to the other side? Because the good news is when you hit the other side, it's just another level of consciousness that is pure bliss, pure joy. And as a human, we get to bring that down onto earth. We get to manifest it here on earth. How do you manifest inner peace here on earth?
You
You
start
be it.
being it.
You embody who you already are. Embodiment is just allowing the fullness of your spirit, of your soul, of who you are, your essence, into every facet of your physical being. And that starts through the portal of your mind.
I love your answer.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
love that.
It's a little scary, honestly, to go there, because for me to say something like that challenges belief that we've had forever.
Yeah.
Now, the funny thing is about our brain is, do we experience death? Have we experienced death before? Well, yeah. Do we have conscious memory of our former deaths? Some might.
Yeah.
But the reality is I can choose how I orient myself moving forward. And that feels weighty and that feels real. But what that also does is that gives us perspective back to the right now moment, you know? And so I truly, truly believe, and this is coming out of left field. I believe that we are going to be conscious, that we are conscious up to the moment that we die, and we're conscious immediately after. And I don't know if that's been the experience prior to this, because that's kind of evocative, what I just said, provocative, and it could stir some stuff. But I truly believe, like, I don't think it's going to be what we've been told that it is.
Yes.
To the point where I feel like we're going to live a lot longer in this lifetime. So we might be gearing up to go ahead and lay ourselves down in the grave at, 83 years old or whatever age we think we're going to make it to. But what happens if we release that thought that I'm going to probably only make it to about 85 life expectancy? What if I believe that I'm going to make it to about 150? Well, my body, where's going to hurt? My body's going to, no. What if I believe that I'm actually not aging and declining? What if I believe that my body's regenerating because that was its normal intention when I was created?
Yeah.
What if I believe that as I know that I'm allowing more and more of my soul to be embodied in my body, that just the regenerative nature of God, of the universe, of the divine, of whatever you believe that's outside of yourself, what if that was eternal? Oh, it is? And what if that's embodied in this body? Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Now we get to go right in here. This is Tasha's foundation, into the Bible, into Revelation, where it talks about there's no more death. I'm in. New thought, spirituality. We get to choose our experience of our spirit on this earth.
I love that. I really, really love that. And I love that you've added in the idea of regenerative, living, to be able to regenerate your body, to regenerate your mind, to regenerate everything. In fact, like any wrong thinking that we've had, through no fault of our own, because we've been taught that by other people. We've taken it on. And of course, once you take on a belief, your conscious mind then goes to find more evidence to prove that belief. Yes. And so you start to find more and more and more of that belief, even if it's not true, to the point where we then shut it out, anything that comes in to threaten that. So I really love the idea of regeneration. Not many people are teaching regeneration, are they?
No. Well, and the idea is that as one person believes something, then we know quantum entanglement, and we know how we can all share thoughts of one mind, of one consciousness. And Nikola Tesla says, and you will see this branded on my forehead, but to understand the secrets of the universe, you have to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, right? So when I choose a thought that's death-centric, and you choose a thought that's death-centric, we're in harmony of creating death, a paradigm of death. However, if I choose to believe and know that my body is meant to be regenerative, and that my body listens to every word that I utter from the timbre of my knowingness of who I am, and I say, actually, you know what? No, I'm aligned with 100% perfect health. I feel vital, like my full vitality. I feel
Yeah.
alive. I feel joyful. And as I do that, and if you're still in a paradigm of death, there's a dissonance there. I get it. But then wait a minute, why is she so happy and she's 83 years old and how's she doing backflips and she's, hanging on the rings at the gym or whatever? I want what she's got. I got joy. And so as you raise your vibration and we start to have harmony and resonance and we're having fun, more people are like, well, I want that. And here we go, quantum entanglement on the upward spiral, right? And so now we are elevating, like when the water in the harbor rises, all boats rise.
Yes.
And
exactly.
so it is new thought. And it's extremely like what in the world? And so here's the deal. And this is a little bit of a plug, but that's why I created the phrase neurodivergent, own your mind. It's trademarked. Like I own that. I created that because it's me. But that's what we're doing. You get to own you get to choose your thoughts. And that's why, again, like it feels so good. How do you get in alignment? You figure out what you want and how does it feel? And then you sit in that place of imagining what it feels like. And as you're imagining that life that you so desire, you're actually walking timelines. Because as you believe it's so, you create it. Abracadabra, the word abracadabra means I create as I speak. As we know, like my diaphragm is moving and using the air to make words that come out of my throat. And if you saw the previous episode, like that expression is where where we're like, that's the alignment right there, that centerpiece. And that's why, thankfully, I'm so thankful that my gifting is to articulate truth in the way that I understand it, but in a way that's resonating with people across the world. And that's a big ass responsibility. Again, that's why we come back to the moment, right? We breathe because it gets so big. So
it's lovely. I mean, so just to wind this all back, I asked at the start, like, how do we get practical with the new thought spirituality and the idea of, like we can create our lives through our thoughts and our being and so on and so forth. And you said, okay, so you've got your thinking and your being and you need to bring them into alignment. Which then, because I've been writing notes, you say, like, to get into alignment, get into your heart. Ask yourself, what is it you want, and get into the heart of that. So if you're wanting inner peace, you get into the heart of that. I loved your description of, parking. I absolutely want to be able to find a parking space right here. I know it's here. I'm really feeling that. Thank you very much. The sort of gratitude as well. And then talking about the regeneration and the death, I really love that. And the idea of what you're aligned to with 100%, like you are aligned 100% in health, for instance. I saw a lovely little clip of a woman somewhere in Wales in the United Kingdom. So somewhere in Wales, there's this like 90-something-year-old woman who's practicing yoga. She's like doing these great stretches, like touching her toes, and she's really, really like limber and really supple in her mind as well. And she was having this delightful little conversation, really short piece about, how she can do it, and that it's entirely possible.
Absolutely. I believe it is. And I feel that this is a point where some of the skeptics might be like, well, you're bypassing. Well, you're just thinking things. And to be able to get to that point, in my opinion, is that it takes a measure of self-awareness. So if you still are holding on to pain or resentment or things in your life that are not like that you've not tended to, like you got to be aware of how you're getting in your own way. And from self-awareness, we go to self-love. Okay, we're finding compassion for ourselves. And once we are able to find that compassion for ourselves, we're getting into the realm of divinity. And we go self-awareness, self-love, and then self-actualization, gnosis. And that's where we become conscious creators. So if I'm like, if I have hatred and resentment in my heart and I believe this, that, and the other, my whole life sucks. And I'm like, I know I deserve a parking spot. I'm going to get that up. Every time I get here, there's a parking spot for me. You may or may not get a parking lot spot. That's fine, whatever. But your experience in that moment from that orientation, your energy is being filtered through unhealed stuff, unhealed wounds, traumas, whatever. So if your life is not what you want it to be, that's again, when we get quiet, what do I want? If your relationship's struggling, what do I want? I want a healthy, happy relationship. What can I do? What should I do? I should talk to my partner. not accuse them, because again, you're not here for their experience. You're here for your experience.
Well.
So you're here for your experience. So again, we dive into the pain, we do the things, and it's a lot easier than we make it out to be. The ego, as it dies off, it's say, this is going to be so hard. No. You have conscious control of your response to anything. You go have that conversation with your spouse, and your spouse is like, actually, you know what? There's no love here anymore. I'm glad you brought up this conversation, and you make an amicable, parting, whatever. But as you do the work, you find out more and more of who you are and how you do have power and control. It first starts with healing yourself. You want to go back to the Bible, or you want to hear physician, heal thyself, right? There's a reason that our medical glyph with the caduceus, with the snakes and the wings, the thing that we do, because that's your thinking and your feeling being swirled together, leading up to the crown, to your gnosis, to opening you up to healing first. So self-awareness, self-love. You are love, by the way. So until you're able to fully love yourself and sing the love songs to yourself and make love to yourself, dare I say it, all the things to yourself, love yourself, quit looking in the mirror and talk about how fat you are, right? Those kind of things. When you're able to not have those knee-jerk automatic reactions, that's when you've rewritten a lot of your neural pathways of self-hatred, because you're never going to believe in eternal life if you're just thinking your body's working against you. Like, I know it's a cat and tail. That's why it's an evolution, and it's an individual process. So everybody, like the way that we can do this and not make it feel heavy or work is to know and be open. I'm open for my own evolution. I'm open to learn about myself. I'm open to learn about how I've maybe gotten in my own way. And in doing so, you're also going to see where you've really taken huge strides, because every person, Louisa, you know this, every person is born with innate gifting. Good night. Like, we all have powerful gifts because we are all gods on this earth, meant to each of us have our gifts on full display. And Tasha, thank God, is just her voice. Many other things, right? But like, there's
so much more than your voice, by the way. You know that, right?
Yes, I do. Thank you for saying it. But that's the point, like, ding, there's that thing, that North Star that we have that draws us forth. And for Tasha, it's communication, leading the way, and Leo, right? My North Node is Leo. So you're going to come in, I'm coming in hot with confidence, but I have to get here. My biggest Achilles is not believing in who I am. I was raised being told, Tasha Renee, your mouth is going to get you in trouble. And my mom, it's funny. Like she, because I was a smart mouth. Like, I would pop off all the time because my orientation is to challenge current ways of thinking.
Yes,
like,
that's going to really piss off mums, isn't it?
Absolutely. I got a revolutionary heart. The inner revolutionary, though. Like, you won't find me storming the gates of nothing. It's all inside. Like, I won't fight. You know what I mean? I'll be the first to surrender. But at the same time, like, that's where the power is in surrender to the self. And what do I want? Like, when I was a little girl, I didn't know what I wanted to be. All I knew is I was going to do something big. And it's so funny because I want to do something big. I never knew what big meant. And that my soul was like on purpose, right? Because once I figured out that, oh my gosh, this is everybody's journey, then I can have global impact. But as a 15-year-old, I had to grow into that responsibility. And I had to F some things up in my life so that I can heal myself from them, to know that I have the actual capacity to communicate to humanity. Like, that's huge. So whether humanity is the 3 people or the, 3 billion people, I don't care. One human, one consciousness. I'm here to say it. And if one person resonates with it, then I can die happy, and I will.
Yeah. Well, you should, for sure. And, one thing I would say, given that, we're all quantumly entangled, if you are changing the experience of one person at some level, that will be felt as a ripple. I really like what you are asking in terms of, where does bypassing come from? Where do you think the whole sort of, it feels like anger. I know I've said to Carl before that he was glossing over things and bypassing things. And, I recognize that maybe I was in pain and was slightly angry that he appeared to just be moving on something. So what do you do with people who are going through pain or are committed to pain, that they can't move beyond it?
Well, this is really interesting. I'm going to share a personal story, and it's not too personal, but my own sister.
As personal as you like.
Thank you.
I'll share something as myself.
Yeah, I'll answer the question with a story about my sister. She's got some health issues, and we haven't spoken in a little while. She's got some health issues, and she was really going down in the rabbit hole and researching, and it seemed like it was like kind of feeding her anxiety and stuff. And I was being there with her as much, of course, like as much as I could be. And I think that she got so far in where she was with her own anxiety about what was going on and her pain about it, that she kind of started firing back at me a little more spicy than necessary. And I understood she was coming from fear and pain. And she said, well, it's just funny that all of your support doesn't feel that way, or something along those lines. And I honored it. I was like, I hear you. I'm sorry that that's your experience of it. I'm here for you regardless. You take all the time you need, or something like that. I think it's coming from pain because they don't understand how I got to where I am. All of me facing my pain is on the inside of me. People don't see that. So then they project their pain. Oh, you got it so easy, or you this, that, and the other. Like I could tell you about the times that I've cried myself, like all the stories, right? We all have our stories. So how I handle that is I allow them to have their own experience. And even though that is my sister and I love her and I will forever and ever, amen. If that means we don't talk ever again because we are so out of resonance with one another, I allow that to be. And I trust and believe that as she's on her healing journey, at some point, she will find her inner peace and be like, man, I really XYZ. Or if I find it in my heart that I'm like, I really just want to talk to my sister, then I will extend an olive branch. But ultimately, I let them have their own experience and stop trying to convince people why I'm happy. Now, if I see somebody happy and I feel some tug in my heart, that's a me issue. So then I sit with myself. You know what I mean? So I let them be them and I allow me to be me. And I don't speak unless I have something that's really like not trying to change them, but you know what I'm saying? Like that's where I find my
orientation. It's really wise. That's really beautiful. I really liked what you said. You know, if you see someone being happy and it's creating a pull in you, I know I felt that, and it's a horrible, horrible feeling, isn't it? Because like nobody wants to take away someone else's happiness. Well, I certainly don't. I'm sure you don't. And yeah, it's horrible when you see that someone else is happy and you might be feeling, I don't know, conflicted about it. And I say conflicted because obviously most of you, your most conscious part would be absolutely over the moon that somebody's happy. But there's obviously an unhealed part of me going on, or you, or whoever is feeling that. That's interesting that you sit with yourself.
Sit with yourself. And as you understand that you're feeling something that doesn't feel good, it's coming up to be released, to be seen. I acknowledge that I'm feeling some jealousy. Why do I feel jealous? Because it seems like they are really in alignment with their purpose or their dream. Am I in alignment with my purpose? Am I in alignment with my dream? Let me take the focus off of them, because again, everything outside of us is just a projection of our thoughts and our emotions. So if you're thinking and feeling jealousy, perhaps, then sit with yourself. Is that what you want to continue manifesting? No, it's not. So do I need to do the work? Maybe take the class, maybe quit the job, maybe take that next step to know that you're moving in alignment. And that's going to take faith. And it's not always going to be logical. And that's where we entrap ourselves, as we try to make it make sense. And spirituality was never meant to be made to make sense. Make sense and logic is only of earth. So when you are able to orient yourself and your consciousness and recognize that your consciousness is never meant to be oriented just from this earthly plane, is when you still start to really express your divinity as a human. And that's that embodiment piece. That's when we allow our full selves to be in our body and external. And I believe that's what Jesus spoke about. You're going to do this and better things, because they weren't able to conceptualize the better things at all, because that's where their evolution was at the time. Their consciousness at the time could not conceive of the idea of creating their reality, but they watched Jesus do it.
I realized in the past, I felt very, very happy when my sister was pregnant. And at that time, I really desperately wanted to become a mom myself. And it was like, oh my God, why is it not happening to me? Why am I not in the right relationship where I could have children? And for quite a long time, it just looked like I wasn't going to find a partner. Obviously now, you know, I've got 3 children, I'm happily married and stuff. But I remember feeling really cursed. It's a horrible feeling. So I loved how you spoke about, you know, like what does feeling cursed amount to? Is it just a huge disconnection from your power as a creator?
Yes, I believe that that's actually the answer, because we are all powerful. Yes, we are all powerful, and anything outside of knowing your full power, you're cursing yourself. And so when you said that, it made me think of a story that I have. So I had it in a vision last year, or maybe 2022, 2023. I don't know when. Recently, I had a vision that I was like, you know what I want? For my relationship of my dreams, I see myself having a rose gold ring. I love rose. I love everything. I love roses.
Lovely.
I love roses. Like they're my thing. So like if that's my thing, roses. And I was like a rose gold ring and just whatever. And then at that time I was dating someone, my sister was dating someone, and my best friend was dating someone. And we all started dating at the same time, the people. Well, mine was complicated, but whatever. My friend got engaged to her man, and my sister got engaged to her man, and we broke up. But the point is my sister Tanya got a ring, and I was like, oh, I felt like, okay, I'm happy for her. I'm 100% happy for her. I'm actually very happy for her, but we divorced at the same time. So I'm starting to feel like, okay, so it's time for me now. Like this is the timing. And then my best friend, she got engaged, and she sent me a picture. It was a rose gold ring on her hand, and I broke, and I'm like, what the hell? What the hell? Here I am. My situation's complicated. My sister's getting married. The man is perfect. Her husband is perfect. I love him. Oh, perfect for her. Perfect for he's just a great guy. My best friend's new husband, great guy. She's got the ring of my dreams. What do I do? So I had to sit, and I'm like, can I be happy for these two people? My sister and my best friend are living the life of my dreams. What do I do with that? I just swallow, and I choose to know that in my divine timing, that's when I will have my relationship or whatever. But being in the right now moment is being at my sister's wedding, being happy as hell for her, watching her walk down the aisle, crying happy tears. You know, I got to lead a couple of things at the reception. I got to do a punchy speech, like a toast that was amazing. And all of that energy was channeled toward love. My family came together in a way that was so healing. You want to talk about generational curses being broken. Oh, like it was amazing. And the same thing for my best friend and her ring and her stuff and things. And I'm like, I'm happy for her. I got to stand before the whole wedding party there as well and present something to the bride and groom. And that was the biggest honor. So choosing how I see the situation is how I handled that. But my humanity felt every essence of jealousy, of envy, of wanting it myself. But I didn't allow myself to stew in that, because I knew that those seeds would sprout yuckiness.
Yes, absolutely.
It wouldn't feel good. So anyway, that's how I deal with it. But I do believe anytime we're feeling something funky, we get to see it, acknowledge it, love it, bring compassion to it. And from that place of self-compassion is how we're able to go to the wedding and do the things and, really be happy for people in their moment.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really beautiful. I think that warrants another conversation, actually, because I'm sure loads of people have felt like that for all sorts of reasons, whether it's for love, for money, for health. We all get tested, we all get tried, and then we look around and see that maybe we're the only ones that appear to be tested. And it's tricky. Thank you so much once again for sharing deeply. I mean, there were some absolute crackers there. Amazing stuff. Thank you so much. Love you so much. Thank you so much for joining me. I don't think I can say thank you anymore, but I just want to keep saying thank you.
Of course. It's mutual. Thank you.